As to the charge of first-degree murder, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
And with those words, the Florida mother who's been in the spotlight for allegedly killing her 2-year-old daughter is now off the hook for the murder charges against her. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Julie Hayes.
And I'm Gordon Collier. It's a verdict that surprised many. After 10 hours, jurors found Casey Anthony not guilty.
Prosecutors argued the 25-year-old did not want to be a mom anymore, so she suffocated her daughter Kaylee with duct tape. Her defense says the little girl drowned in the pool. They say Anthony panicked, and her father, who was a former police officer, decided to make it look like a homicide by putting tape over her mouth and dumping her body. Today, the jury found the mother not guilty of the most serious charges of first-degree murder, manslaughter, and child abuse. The jury did convict Anthony of lying to the police during that investigation, and she could get away without serving any jail time. The jurors decided not to talk to the media and explain their decision, and you can imagine that the public wants to hear answers. To help us break down this verdict, we're being joined by a local attorney, Mr. Robert Callahan. Mr. Callahan, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
First of all, what was your reaction to the verdict?
Well, this is our system. You know, this is how the system is supposed to work. It's a jury of 12 of our peers and not the general public, not the mass that gets to decide what happens.
And Robert, a lot of people are sounding off everywhere, including on our KWTX Facebook, though, and they're saying, how could something like this possibly happen? And you're saying that that's just the system working the way that it should?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people have compared this already to the new O.J. Simpson trial. But think about everything that has to happen in order for a not guilty verdict to be rendered. I mean, the police make a decision based on probable cause. An investigator follows up on that. Case is taken to the district attorney's office. District attorney decides whether or not to press charges. That's gone to a grand jury. Ultimately, you end up in a trial situation where you pick a jury of 12 of your peers out of however many hundreds of people are there for jury duty, okay? An acquittal is rare. And so when we see a jury say not guilty, we have to stand up and we have to take attention as to why it is that they rendered that verdict.
And Robert, talk to us more. You have you're a defense attorney currently. You've also worked in a prosecutor's office before. I mean, what is it that is so different about being on a jury and being in that jury room as opposed to being out here the way the rest of us are watching that trial unfold?
Sure. I think that the temptation is for us as we're watching it unfold on television, we seem to look at it and we think that we would make a different decision, but we're not the ones that are in those seats in the courtroom. Sure, the evidence is the same, but we're not the ones that have to sit there and actually make the decision. We don't know what happened behind closed doors in that deliberation process that left the jury to make this decision, and it's them that has to make the decision, not the public en masse.
Are you surprised that the jury came back with the decision so quickly? Because I think everybody was saying we might be waiting around at least a few days to hear what they decided. When we heard that there was a verdict coming so soon, I think a lot of people assumed it would be guilty.
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily. I mean, this is ultimately a circumstantial evidence case, and the prosecution has that burden, that responsibility of pushing the jury over the hump and making sure that the jury understands that it's not just that we're pointing to this circumstance and that circumstance, but that they actually feel comfortable saying beyond a reasonable doubt, she actually did it.
Do you think the prosecutors, in terms of what you saw in the trial, do you think they did the best that they could with the evidence that they had?
Sure, I do. I really do think that they did the best that they could under the circumstances. The difference in between this case and to draw a parallel maybe with the Matt Baker case locally is that they didn't have that smoking gun the way that we did in the Matt Baker case. When Crawford Long and Susan Schaefer and Abden Rodriguez brought Vanessa Bulls into the courtroom, and Vanessa said, here's what I have to say, and that links up with that circumstantial evidence. So only a person that was sitting inside of the room when it happened would have known these facts. They didn't have that in this case. You know, we had evidence that, maybe she's crazy, maybe she's driving around with a decomposed body in her trunk, maybe she's even happy about the fact that her child is gone, having gotten this tattoo and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the state could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she was the one that did it.
All right, Robert Callahan, very interesting. Thanks so much for coming in and giving us your input. We appreciate it.
Thank you.